So we've made some great improvements with the new coils. That really has made a big difference. But now it's time to stop knobbing around. The carburetors are not set properly, right? The best thing I can do now is whip the tank off, take those carburetors off, which I believe does involve removing the air boxes. It's probably going to be easier if I do, so we'll just do it. Getting them on the bench, and we're going to go through some of the setup. Things like float height, I coarsely set, you know, and it's not right. A few other things we can check out. Then we can set the mixture screws, we can get it back on, get it fired up. One cylinder at a time is what Honda recommend, until we can roughly trim everything back in. So we've got a bit of work to do. Let's get on with it. All in all, that came off easy. Actually got that one. Right, so that's my air filters off. We will need to remove the drain pipe. Battery drain pipe looks good. I think because I can, I say that because I should be able to, I'm going to shut the fuel off. Wires and all sorts hanging down here. Really need to go through the wiring before I put the carbs back on, I think. Right, let's get the fuel sorted. As you know, a lot of this stuff I kind of wing a little bit. Now I have had these carburetors off, and I'm sure the easier way to tackle the cables is to undo this little bracket, and then this gives me slack on the cable, I think. It sounds good, doesn't it? Always that. You think your screwdriver is magnetic enough, Mind you, I've been smacking it with a hammer, so probably not that magnetic now. So that's one of the cables with that screw. This one is the other. There's also a choke cable. I'll get to that in a minute. Right, going to bite the bullet. It's one carburettor, there's the other. So these carburetors don't actually come as a rigid pair. Some have got like a bar bolted across. These don't have that. Let's see which one's easiest to get the cable out of. Possibly none of them. So I think if which way do I want to go? I want to go that way. If I remember rightly, on one side, this, it's just pop off. That's better. Now I can get that lined up with that slot and tease this little spud out. So that goes this side. Number one carburettor. And I can feel a bit of fuel coming out of it, so it definitely had fuel in it. Let me just undo this side carburettor. Definitely fuel in this one. Let's go back to the bench. So here's our two carburetors just as they've come off the bike. This is the choke linkage, goes onto the choke butterfly. That's square in the linkage, fits onto the square on the other carburettor. Oops. So that when one opens, the other one opens, and it's a manual choke off this lever. So right now, we're going to look at each carburettor in turn and set the float height. The first thing I'm going to do is drop off the float bolt, which is easier said than done when your hands are covered in petrol. Now, the book says when you set this up, the float needs to be set 14 mil above, and normally it's this face in here that the float bowl sits onto. So we get our vernier. We set our vernier to 14 mil. It's just a little bit over. I'm going to pull back a bit on the focus. Obviously, folks, you can lose a bit of clarity on detail. Obviously, you're going to lose a bit of clarity on detail, but it does mean you can see more of what I'm doing because I'll be drifting in and out of shot. So, I'm actually pretty happy with that. That's very, very close. Have a look at this one. That's a lot higher, so it will have less fuel in it. So I'll just bend the tab down a little bit. It's still about 5 mil too high. I don't like using screwdrivers to do this, but that is about right. But that's bottoming out. Well, if I was a rich man, I'd be replacing the float and the needle jet, because I'm not. Sorry, needle jet, what am I about? I'm not totally convinced. But they're at least equal. Let's see what happens when I put them back on. Try putting that on the right, that's better. Right, that's that bit done. Now the other bit is we have a really chewed up pilot air screw. 1.5. That should be set to. From fully in. Let's get a screwdriver that's a better fit. Well, that old faithful carburettor screwdriver. So, yeah, that screw is absolutely mullered. But I can still do 1.5 turns with a pair of pliers. Oops. Half. One. And a half. Set. 1. Oh, that's half, sorry. That's 1. And a half. So the other thing we're going to set, so this is the throttle butterfly. So we're just going to quick wipe around in there and then slack this screw off until we can see an air gap. It's quite a big air gap, just exaggerated it. Throttle screw. Same on this one. Air gap. So what this means is you can see that this opens, when it shuts, it doesn't shut exact. It's at an angle. Well, it shuts exact as in it seals the whole thing, but there's an angle at which it lands. So this butterfly is now resting on the body of the carburettor in here, not on this adjustment screw. So when we cable it all up, we take up the slack on the cable so that we don't open the butterfly. Then we can add a tiny bit on these 2 screws, the same amount, and that lifts both butterflies open slightly. I think, I'll check, it may be that you just take the air gap out, fire the thing up, and then we want to adjust those 2 together to give us our tick over. Obviously you do this when the bike's warm. So, because I've had these apart and they've been cleaned before, ooh, that's weird. Is that better? That's better. So they go on like so. And then when I operate this choke, that one operates. That's preset. I don't have a choice about that. Really strange thing is I've got Venturis at the top here, Venturis at the bottom. I would have said they should be the same. So maybe that plate's on wrong. Maybe it isn't. Anyway, enough of that. It doesn't really matter. It will allow the same amount of air to go through, I believe. Right. Time to get this lot reassembled. Yeah, it's as smoky as hell in here, but first time she's ticked over. If I rev her, takes a while to settle back down, so it's still not right, but it starts a lot easier. There you go, getting better every day. definitely got a timing issue. When I get it to hit the fire mark and then adjust it, it wants to rock back to top dead centre. So we're not getting something right on this. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But obviously the bike's getting hot. Yeah, okay. We've got to the point now where we're going to button all this up. So what I did is I took the advance and retard unit out of here, which is that little back plate out, and then behind there there's two bob weights with springs, and the springs were really bad. They've lost all their springiness. So I retensioned one of the springs by cutting a couple of coils out of it. And that seems to have smoothed things a little bit. But I'm still getting a misfire, and I'm not sure what the misfire is. Could be carbs, it could be ignition timing. Bearing in mind here that we've replaced the condenser, we've replaced the ignition coils. We'll better not do those up too tight because one half of that's bloody hot. And then I'll retighten them when the engine's cold. Yeah, so we've replaced a lot on the ignition side, but what I see is things are certainly better. So we know we've got an advance and retard issue. It's, as I say, a lot better, but it's there. So when we pass this on now, that's for somebody else to source some springs or a unit, unless one comes up for not a lot of money. Then I might do it myself. I doubt whether you can get the springs anymore. I doubt that very much. So I'm pretty chuffed with the way things have gone, even though I have spread a lot of oil everywhere. And that oil, believe it or not, is very hot. Ow. I've also got a leak off the front of the engine. Yeah, bolt missing, right. Okay, just leave that there, Mark. So this is, as I say, probably the first time this engine's got this warm. Now the nice thing is, it fires up more easily since we've done the carbs and the timing. Don't know what it's going to be like on cold start, could be utter shit. But right now I can hit the key. It's ticking over quite sweet on a relatively low tick over to say what's happened to the poor old bike. Yeah, let's just carry on buttoning it up and get the timing light off. So what I would really like is for me to be able to come in the morning, turn the fuel on, hit the choke, we're on straight away, or as close as, before the battery starts to go. Now I think the starter motor's probably struggled a little bit in its life. I'm not happy, but I ain't changing that either. So today's the very next day, and I'm here with me CB500T Honda, 1976, as most of you will already know. So yesterday we had the carbs off, we set those up, we did the float heights, etc, slow running mixture, tick over. We also managed to strobe up the points. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it should be okay. So what I want to do today is see how easily I can cold start it. If that's good, then to be honest with you, bike's going to be up for sale fairly quickly. I'm not expecting it just to spring into life first hit of the key, but I'm expecting it to start fairly promptly. So, I think we should give it a go. Are we good? Let's do it. So, first thing, foot ground. Okay, let's see if that's any better.